Brush Pass bonus episode time. This time around, we're going to talk about some Spy City, which is a new AMC Plus series that just premiered tonight. David and I just watched the first episode. We're going to come back around and give some first impressions on that one. But before that, as usual, we're going to talk about some news items in the spy entertainment universe, I suppose. I'm leading this one with this is just funny, and I couldn't help but include it. The newest ad campaign for Head and Shoulders shampoo in Japan is a series of anime short movies featuring a spy who's running all around the world. Actually, you know what? Take a look at it with me, would you?
Okay, sounds good.
All right.
That was amazing.
How fucking Japanese is that?
That was hilarious.
So yeah, the idea is they're trailing him all around the world, and at the end we find out like how were you able to track me? It was because of your dandruff. But now that he's got Head and Shoulders shampoo, he can go on and do his crazy spy action shenanigans. Yeah, just had to bring that one up. I don't have anything other than Spy City, which we're going to go into a little detail in at the end of this brush pass. I didn't have anything else for just came out that you can see, but my little Google News pickers did pick up on the fact that Black Hat, it's kind of one of those revival stories. It's a 2015 film that I think like slipped past all of us. Did you ever hear about Black Hat?
I think I remember when it was coming out, but I didn't see it.
Right.
Chris Hemsworth's in it, right?
Yes. Yeah. It stars Chris Hemsworth, and it's directed by Michael Mann, which I'm a big Mann booster. I love his shit, especially Heat. Heat regularly makes like my top best films of all time kind of lists for me personally. The reason we're bringing it up is because it's one of those cases where the movie didn't really like do anything when it came out, but now that it's just shown up on Netflix, it's rocketed up to like currently like it's in their top 10 like most watched and most enjoyed. So if you're looking for your spy movie fix, this might be something to check out if you've got access to Netflix. This would be a story about Chris Hemsworth is a surprisingly buff computer hacker, and he's getting recruited into helping a joint team of FBI and Chinese intelligence agents chasing cyber terrorists. Looks like all around the world. Let's take a look at the trailer, huh?
So that looked pretty action-packed for a hacking movie.
All right. Yeah, you never know though, like, you know, how much of the you know, because they can take a movie that only has like, you know, 5 minutes of action, they can make a trailer for it that just packs all of that into it. I think it looks pretty good. It doesn't look like Heat. It doesn't look like Heat level quality to me, but yeah, I'm kind of interested. I really am kind of interested in seeing Hemsworth do some. I mean, I love him as Thor,
Right.
but yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what he can do outside of that character. So that's a draw for me. Decent reviews on that one.
It just looked really action-packed. You know, so
Okay.
I'm not really sure. Probably, Yeah, it like when you had said surprisingly buff looking hacker,
Right?
quite I didn't quite know what you meant till I saw the trailer, and yeah, it was like, this MIT hacker, he's doing time. We're gonna commute his sentence if he can solve the guys, and then all of a sudden it's like a action packed chase.
Well, if action packed isn't your flavor, then you're probably not going to be as excited as some people might be about what's
Right.
coming soon. Without Remorse is going to hit Amazon Video on April 30th. The final trailer for this movie based on a Tom Clancy novel is going to star Michael B. Jordan
Oh shit!
as.
You had me at Michael B. Jordan.
All right, cool. As a Navy SEAL who is apparently like what I get from this is he's okay. He's a minor character in several Jack Ryan based movies that we have seen before. But this is Without Remorse is a book that Clancy wrote that specifically was kind of like the I don't know, the origin story of this particular character, John Clark.
Mhm.
Um, it's let's see, it's being written or wait. Did I have this right? I know like some Sicario stuff came up. Yeah, I think it was okay, wait. Definitely directed by the guy that directed the second Sicario movie. And I
Right,
think,
Taylor Sheridan wrote both Sicario movies. Is the writer?
right. Is that the writer for this movie or am I getting
Yes.
confused? Okay. Uh, okay. Big fan of Sicario. So, me personally, that's
Right.
when I'm really looking. That's when even like when we very first started this podcast, Sicario has been one of my like, dessert movies,
Uh huh.
just one that I just really want to talk about.
Yeah.
um so yeah, there's Without Remorse coming out at the end of the month. Maybe we'll talk about it more when we see it. Maybe we'll do a brush pass on it, but actually I think it'd be more likely I want to talk about this other movie. This one looks a lot more interesting to me personally, and I think to you. This is Cliffwalkers, also
Uh-huh.
coming out April 30th in China and in the US. Now, this director, Zhang Yimou, not sure if I have that pronunciation correct, but he is like apparently a very highly respected director internationally.
Uh-huh.
Just to give you like kind of a clue of like how much he's considered a national treasure in China. He was the guy that was chosen to direct the Beijing Olympics opening and closing.
Oh wow.
Back, I think I'm not sure. I think that was back in 2008. That was a while ago,
Mhm.
right? But those were, I mean, just the fact that they chose him, to do that honor for the country, and the fact that I didn't watch those Olympics, but I do remember everyone saying like, "Holy shit, that was fucking awesome."
Right. Yeah, I
This
remember. Yeah, I remember that. It was like everybody was talking about it.
The story that we know about sounds really interesting as well. It's going to be set in the 1930s. It's going to follow four uh, Chinese communists, or no, okay, no, I think they're Chinese communists, but they go into the Soviet Union and maybe get flipped there and are sent back by the Soviet Union. Like it's a communist versus communist um, spy story from the 1930s,
Oh wow.
which is something it's I like the idea of getting into these movies that are not just like, you know, Britain versus Russia, US versus Russia, like all
Right.
the time. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm really,
this sounds really cool.
yeah, and it's a, like I said, also, it's a Chinese director, but this is a movie coming out of China that's definitely like, we talked a little bit previously about that Chinese television show that very much looks like, maybe state sponsored propaganda,
Uh-huh.
kind of focused and funded. But this movie is going to be released in China and the US simultaneously, so they are expecting some international attention on this. It might not be the first thing, like the super blockbuster in America that it might very well be in China. In fact, I also read like the timing of it. Apparently, May 5th is like the equivalent of Labor Day in China, and that's one of their really big, huge um, movie audience going events.
Okay.
You know, which it's kind of is for us too. Like, early May, like we're starting to see the beginning of summer blockbusters or whatever. But yeah,
Right.
I'm just interested because they're definitely like pumping it like international, like all at once.
I just chatted you a link for the trailer if you want to watch the trailer.
Oh yeah, let's check it out. I was wondering what that beep was.
Hollywood Reporter got an
Yeah,
exclusive
yep.
trailer.
Let's take a look. Uh, I would say like that's what a spy movie trailer should fucking look like. That looks
Yes.
awesome. That looks
Yeah,
great.
I'm pretty excited about it. I
Sign,
don't
yeah,
know
sign
where
me
it's
up.
coming up from, but we definitely got to watch it.
Hmm.
I don't know where it's going to be available, but yeah.
Well, like I
Pretty
said, no,
excited.
it's coming to U.S. theaters. Like we can go see that in 2 weeks
Oh, we definitely got to go
if
see it
if
then.
if we want to. Yeah, I would say like I'm excited. You know,
Yeah.
it's hard to drag stuff from trailers, but like I could just tell that like this is a well directed film. Like this is
Yeah.
this is stylish and suspense filled and just looks tight and very period. And it's a total like it's a field of like spy kind of stuff that we just have no experience covering.
Oh,
Yeah, let's make a date for that one. Is
yeah.
how I'm
We'll
feeling
definitely
right
have to
now.
do our next brush pass for that or something because that looked really, really cool.
Yeah, I think so. Um, Okay, maybe. Oh wait. Okay, so then that's stuff that is coming soon. Then we got a couple items that are just announced. We don't know when they're going to come out. We just know that like this is just like come out that it's a project that is now going to be fielded. I'll start with the Sympathizer is going to be a television series based on a 2016 Pulitzer winner for fiction, I believe, because the Pulitzer can also be awarded for journalism. But in this case, I didn't find any indication that this is like a journalistic work. I think it's based on a novel. It's going to be directed a TV series directed by the director of Old Boy.
Oh, wow.
Did you like that movie?
Uh, yeah, the Korean one.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that movie was fucking
I'm
brutal.
looking at this article. The novelist Viet Thanh Nguyen
Uh-huh.
wrote it, and I think he just announced it. And apparently, Old Boy was a big influence on his novel.
Oh, okay.
So
Oh yeah,
having
I
the
did notice. I did notice the novelist was like super excited to have the Old Boy director on board.
yeah, he must be doing backflips hearing that, especially if it was a big influence. So this looks pretty dope. I'm pretty excited for it.
Right, it's gonna be some Vietnam stuff. It's pitched as some historical fiction. So yeah, I had it right. It's not a, it's not a based on true events kind of thing, but just historically kind of accurate ish. Could have happened.
Uh,
Um, and that is going to be it's centers around a mole from North Vietnam, who infiltrates the South Vietnamese army, but then for some reason he gets I don't know, maybe for some reason exposed or something. He has to come back to the he has to get to the United States, probably for safety or something, and then eventually returns to Vietnam to fight against the communists. This sounds kind of complicated, but also, also interesting, especially as learning more about like what's going on in other countries for real. Like I said too, like the thing about Cliffwalkers that I'm excited about is this is like, I like this idea of like, let's get into some movies or some content that's not just the West versus blah blah blah, but also see like what's going on with other agencies that might be employing intelligence against one another that really has nothing to do with the U.S.
Yeah, it's nice to get some different stuff, so I'm pretty excited for it. Um,
And as far as different stuff goes, I've kind of gotten in the habit these days. Like I'm finding so much stuff that's coming out of India and Korea and Hong Kong and even Turkey, and
oh,
just like all around the world. Like there's a spy movie or television series gets launched like every week. We can't talk about them all.
yeah.
So some of them I'm like kind of giving a pass unless like it looks like kind of super interesting. Here, I think this does look kind of super interesting. Captain Seven has been announced. It's coming out of India. It's going to be an animated spy television series, and it's going to star this guy that I've never heard of, but probably a lot of people around the world have. MS Dhoni, who apparently is like just one of the like best cricket players in the world or something.
They do love cricket in India.
They
I'm aware.
do.
Yeah,
It's like the one thing that they're thankful. Uh,
that the British gave them.
it's the one thing. It really is. They're like, yeah, there was all that bullshit, but you did bring us cricket, so.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Britain's like, well, yeah, thanks for all the tea.
Right.
And then there was this other item, which I thought like our schedule got a little pushed up on this brush pass. So I don't have time to do due diligence on this, but let's maybe think about putting this in our Facebook news feed. Like I keep seeing these news items about this Iranian show called Gondo, Gando, and how like it's let's see how to explain this. Like what's it called? The Iranian Guard or the Iranian Republic Guard
Uh-huh.
are a political force in Iran that doesn't always march exactly to the beat of the quote unquote Iranian government.
Hmm.
Would you say I have that right as far as you know?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, Gondo is a show that has been funded by the Republican Guard as kind of propaganda of like how awesome they are and how important they are in Iran, and kind of depicting in a weird way. It's kind of like okay, this is how I would try to describe it from what I've understood about the news item, and I do want to maybe take some time to talk to you in more detail about it later. But imagine if the United States Army was funding a television show that was critical of the United States government. That's pretty
Oh,
hard to imagine, right?
right. Yeah.
But it apparently that's what's going on with this show, Gondo.
Mhm.
So yeah, let's just let's put it in our chat. I had hoped that we would have time. We didn't, for you and me to like maybe go back and forth over this thing, but maybe we'll just put it in the news thing and talk about it, maybe on Facebook, or maybe between us, because it just it's a news item that just keeps clicking. Like, you know, when I saw it a couple times coming up, I was like, okay, whatever. But like it just constantly seems to be like a big story
Mhm.
in Iran. From there, that's all our news items. And we also just watched the first episode of Spy City,
Yeah.
starring Dominic Cooper. Looks like, well, it's coming out of AMC Plus, which I have some thoughts on. Uh, but yeah, let's get into just our first impressions of a single episode of Spy City. I'll let you go first.
There wasn't a whole lot of tradecraft. It was more of a story. And I guess it's the first episode, so they're just kind of setting the scene. Uh, uh, yeah, it was kind of like cool watching him at the beginning, and then it just kind of turned in. They're trying to exfiltrate this guy out of East Berlin, who I guess is a scientist that's made like a super accurate targeting system for missiles and bombs and planes and stuff. Um,
Can I break in to put the historical context in?
mhm,
We're talking like 1962 here or something. I think it's supposed to be like right before the Berlin Wall came up.
right.
Most of the operations that we see taking place are in Berlin, so it's around that period of the Cold War.
Right, and they're trying to get this guy out to, I guess, the American side so that they can get him and his family out. And our main character is this guy Scott, who it started out with like him surviving in an assassination attempt by a British agent, and so a bunch of people are pissed at him for killing that guy, and he keeps saying he tried to kill me, and they're like, that doesn't sound like him, but I'm gonna find out why he tried to kill me. Uh, and then they want him to go into Berlin to try and get this guy out. And yeah, it's kind of a lot of it was just kind of setting the stage. There really wasn't any tradecraft. We got a park bench. That was nice.
Yeah, oh, definitely like a hot, very classic example of the park bench scene that David and I are always talking about. In this case, they weren't, you know, necessarily sitting side by side on a bench, but setting up chess tables in the park, you know, where you could reasonably expect in Berlin of this time for someone to just come by and say like, "Hello, stranger. Do you
Right,
fancy to play a game?" But they're sitting at separate tables and talking to each other without looking like they're talking to each other, which is
right.
classic park bench.
Yeah. The scientist is being tailed by a Stasi who did not try to hide whatsoever. So I'm guessing they wanted to be seen. Maybe. I don't know. But the one thing that bugged me was our protagonist opens up a chessboard and then just puts his pieces out and then puts them away. And I was like, if there's anything that obvious, that would be pretty obvious. That bugged me a little bit, but whatever. I guess the Stasis weren't there yet when he was setting up.
Yeah, in the initial scenes of this, especially the 1960 kind of, there's like a sort, I guess you would call it a flashback, except I'm not sure you call it a flashback if it's the first thing you see.
Right,
Maybe there's a different term for that, but that's the part where he gets ambushed by a supposed friendly British agent and has to kill him in self-defense, which sets up this whole like nice thing about he's still always been kind of under suspicion because nobody understands like why that happened. So that's a
Uh,
nice mystery for the series to try to untangle. Uh, in that scene and in a lot of other scenes too, I really felt like some James Bondiness that was not clicking very well for me.
right.
Um, yeah, and even like 1960. So it's not like the super schlocky James Bondy stuff, but that smell is in the air to me
Yeah,
a bit.
a little bit. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. It's kind of more focused on the story than just like here's the situation. But I mean, it was the first episode, so they might have just been laying groundwork. But it was like and the exfiltration gets botched at the end, and the people, the guy, the scientist, and his wife and kid were killed by the Stasi. So it was like kind of more of like he had already killed this guy in self defense who nobody really believes, and then now he just botched an exfiltration. Um, so I'm guessing this is going to turn into like, well, was there a plan behind this? Is what's going on with this? It was, I don't know. I think you had mentioned at some point through the episode, you're like, this is feeling a little corny.
Yeah, no, I definitely I yeah, the feeling was growing on me. There it feels to me like a ton of like it's hard to review based on one episode. You got to give a show a chance to grow. If you really like, British spy thrillers, definitely give this a roll on your own. But from me, I'll say like it felt very much like paint by numbers kind of spy stuff, without a lot of meat on the bone. Um, I'm not even sure. Like AMC Plus, like when did they get into television? I mean, they have the whatchamacallit, Walking Dead,
Mhm.
which is to me like an uneven show, but definitely like kind of solid in its way. But what like AMC, they're famous for being a movie theater chain. Like what? Why are they trying so hard to get into television? I feel like um they're trying here, and I'm not sure they really should be.
Yeah.
Not sure what their whole business plan is on that. Um, it's got some entirely unnecessary sex scenes, which always are a turnoff for me.
Yeah.
Uh, since they don't drive the story at all. I didn't really hook into or care about any of the characters, including our main guy. Like
Mhm.
compared to like our brush pass on like Laburo, like I was hooked. Like
Yeah.
that shit felt like awesome. I want to get into this. Even Homeland, I thought had a lot more meat on the bone than this. Even though this is maybe I don't know, a touch more cinematic and less network TV kind of stuff than Homeland. But I'm, personally, I'm not planning on following up on this one.
Yeah. Me either. Uh, it was, I mean, it was kind of chill if you looking for something to watch. I mean, like, I think the only tradecraft we saw was like the German lady with the camera in the book. That was about it. There wasn't too much else. And yeah, I don't know. I'm definitely not gonna say go out and watch it, but if it's something you look just looking for something, you could probably it's kind of easy to follow.
Well, I think she's one of the more interesting elements of what we got handed. Whereas, and I had to pause it and ask you to help me like catch up on like what her motivation, who she was working for, kind of thing.
Right.
And the way you explained it, which all of a sudden made sense because there's this there's this guy in some apartment playing a guitar and just seeming like I don't know, just what today we would just call a bro, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's a
It
little
turned out he
poetic.
was
He's making up his songs. He's got a spirit to him.
right.
But I kept wondering, like, why is this guy in the show? And apparently, like, this is I think a redhead chick. Anyways, her hair is kind of red-ish. She is actually in love with this guy, and that is the leverage that the Stasi have on him, because we're going to find out he's a war criminal that the Stasi are protecting
Mhm.
in East Berlin, and that's their leverage for her, who works in the British station in West Berlin to, like, get them some intel.
Right.
But then, and that felt cool. But then they also overlay. Okay, so Dominic Cooper, our main character, was in Berlin before, and he got pulled out after the weird, like, you know, uh, we're not sure what happened kind of thing. You're still under suspicion. Why did you kill that guy? He says it was
Mhm.
self-defense. They're like, well, that makes no sense. Um, but apparently, when he was in Berlin previously, he had an affair with a French lady, and that French lady is also, like, kind of on the side tasking him with this mission of finding the bro guy with the guitar, the guy that the war criminal that the Stasi is protecting. And I'm not going to be super happy with this show. Like, again, I'm sorry, I'm not really planning on following up on it, but they're setting it up like she's giving him like a side mission, which he should not take. Like, you should, like, you should be a professional. You should be in there to do one job, and never mind what your ex-girlfriend also would like you to do. Like, fuck that.
Mhm.
Doesn't feel authentic to me.
Yeah. It's a little kind of, I don't know, whatever. But I guess the guitar playing guy is supposedly an SS officer, and she's looking for the French affair lady is looking for him because he tortured and murdered her husband or something, which kind of came out of left field, or at least we think from the picture that was shown.
I don't like the idea that she waits for her ex-boyfriend, who she apparently thought was dead, to come into town to suddenly say, like, "Oh, you're my opportunity to try to find this guy." Like,
Right.
she should have her own, like, I don't know, her own shit. It's too pat. It it This show smells. It smells funny to me, just based on the
Yeah.
first episode. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh, but let's talk about this. Oh, let's give this movie, this episode, though, one, like, I think, big thumbs up. There are some shots. Now, it's a period piece, and period pieces are always, like, really difficult. You're never going to get the cars right, because the actual cars, from the 1960s, they just actually don't fucking exist anymore. And you're never going to get, the building style, architecture has changed, et cetera, et cetera. I thought it was really cool. I keyed in on this mostly because, like, there's this big, huge, like, shopping center, and it's like the Nescafe
Uh,
shopping center. And I was like, what? And we went back and looked at a couple of these scenes, and I'm pretty sure that they took actual historical footage and digitized and colored it to give us some shots of, like, what Berlin actually looked like at the time, which I think I mean, we looked back at it a couple times, and I think we're right that, like, that's what they did. But I don't blame them for that. In fact, I really applaud them for that. Like, let's do more of that kind of stuff.
yeah, it was kind of cool. It looks like they kind of tried to update the footage, but it looked like authentic footage.
And that's all I had to say about Spy City. Let's see what's coming up next, dude. We're pushing some analysis of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., the classic 1960s television series.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it because you've talked about it a few times, and I guess you hadn't seen it either. But it seems to keep coming up as like a, a influential show for the spy genre. So I'm
Hey, and
excited.
and it's absolutely like we have to demonstrate to our audience that like I mean this was a fan request. People that like our show specifically asked us like, when are you going to do Man from Uncle? Well, we'll do it like right away if you ask us to. So if there's something you want covered on this show, reach out to us on Facebook. Fucking just tell us what you want to hear. We will do it.
Hell yeah.